The journey and legacy of cowries in Africa. The use of cowries in Africa dates back to at least the 8th century. These small, glossy shells, originating from the Maldive Islands in the Indian Ocean, made their way to West Africa by the 11th century, traveling through North Africa to the Middle Niger. Over time, they spread south to the Guinea forest and the Niger Delta. There were two main types of cowries in circulation, the larger Cypraea annulus, favored in the western regions, and the smaller Cypraea moneta, more common in the east. These shells, both from the Monetaria moneta species, belong to a family of marine gastropod mollusks. In Nigeria, cowries were known by different names across various cultures. The Igbo people referred to the larger cowries as Nwefe or Okpokpo, which were worth about 1/3 of the smaller Ayola cowries. Among the Yoruba, they were called owoeye, the Fulanis named them Sedere, and in Bini culture, they were known as Bosjes or Igvo. Cultural significance of cowries. The cowrie shell's distinctive shape, reminiscent of the female form, has imbued it with rich symbolic meaning. The upper part of the shell resembles the curve of a pregnant belly, and the slit can be seen as an eye, believed to ward off evil. This symbolism is why the Yorubas' sacred heads, or ori, were often represented with cowries. Beyond spiritual associations, cowries served many practical roles throughout history. Warriors wore charms and amulets made of cowries in battle, while hunters used them for protection during their expeditions. Even in times of peace, cowries were believed to safeguard against malevolent forces. Priests and priestesses frequently adorned their hair with cowries, further emphasizing their spiritual significance. In architecture, cowries were embedded in walls and floors to protect homes from evil. For instance, Wole Soyinka's house in Egba, Abeokuta, showcases cowries as part of its design. Cowries also played a role in divination, especially in Nigerian films where traditional priests throw cowries on the floor to predict the future. The way these shells land is interpreted by diviners, using patterns to seek guidance from the Orisha spirits. The Yoruba practice, known as Odiu, often involves throwing 16 cowries, a number significant to the Yoruba's spiritual beliefs. Communication and healing. Cowries were integral to the Yoruba communication system known as Aroko. Before the advent of written language, messages were sent using objects, including cowries. The interpretation of these messages depended on a shared understanding between the sender and the receiver. For example, 8 cowries sent to someone signified safety, while a pierced cowrie sent by a king indicated that the recipient was to be ostracized for disturbing community peace. Cowries also had medicinal uses. In cases where a pregnant woman's placenta was not positioned correctly, a remedy involved using a calabash filled with crushed bitter leaves and 7 cowries. Drinking this potion was believed to help reposition the placenta. Cowries as currency. By the 15th century, cowries were among various items used as currency, including beads, silver coins, gold dust, salt bars, copper rods, and maniles. Their prominence as currency grew in the 18th century, becoming the first widely accepted form of money across West Africa. During the transatlantic trade era, cowries were highly valued and imported into Yorubaland, where they were recognized for their importance over other forms of currency. In Chinua Achebe's novel, Things Fall Apart, cowries frequently appear as symbols of wealth and means of payment. For instance, the character Okonkwo and other village leaders are held for ransom, with their release dependent on the payment of cowries. Cowries were often strung together for convenience, with 40 shells forming a string, and larger payments were made with baskets full of these strings. According to historical accounts, 2,000 cowries equal 50 strings, then 20,000 cowries constituted a bag. Trade in cowries was predominantly managed by the Hausa people, as noted by the German explorer Heinrich Barth, who in 1850 observed the widespread use of cowries in Kano, Bono, and other regions. In Bono's Munyoma, for example, the king's revenue was about 30 million cowries annually, with every adult male required to pay 1,000 cowries per year, plus additional amounts for livestock and slaves. The cowries' role as currency persisted because it was difficult to counterfeit, aligning with the Yorubas' centralized governance and market regulation systems. However, the practicality of transporting large amounts of cowries eventually led to their decline as a currency. The story of a man losing his wealth due to the high cost of transporting cowries illustrates this problem. This, coupled with the impacts of colonization, led to the end of cowries as a medium of exchange. Nonetheless, they remain in use for alms and ritual payments in some regions. Modern legacy. Today, the legacy of cowries endures. In Ghana, the local currency is called the cedi, named after the cowrie. The coin even featured a cowrie design in 1991. The West African Central Bank's headquarters in Benin is also adorned with cowrie motifs. Cowries continue to symbolize wealth and are cherished as a cultural heritage in many African societies. Throughout Africa and the Americas, cowries have been a symbol of destiny and prosperity. They have decorated royal garments and adorned ceremonial masks, symbolizing great wealth and status. For more fascinating insights and stories, don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us for more content.